You like good art? Like it's
No,
I love cool art.
I fucking hate it, man.
like I don't know, but
Programmer art forever.
the Telltale stuff is just starting to get. This sounds super mean, but the thought came into my head, so I'm going to share it with the world because that's what we do, right?
Yep,
No
that is our
filter.
job.
That's right.
I was like, because it was the Marvel stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yes, Telltale announced
And it was like starting to get to the point where like, man, if you have property ain't got a fucking Telltale game, you ain't nothing, right? And I started thinking like, man, Telltale's like the new Burger King Super Cup
Totally.
for modern properties, right? Like if you ain't got your Burger King tie-in shit, you ain't nothing.
You're
and
right,
now it's like
that's pretty mean.
If you don't have your Telltale game to go along with your property, then like what are you even doing? Why are you even trying anymore?
Well, the key difference is that with those Burger King, McDonald's promotions, whatever, there was a tangible product for those, whereas a lot of these things are still just business deals that have been announced with no actual games yet.
To be fair, I mean, I checked out of Telltale stuff after Walking Dead Season 1.
Are they shipping in a functional form yet? Is
Well,
that
they-
still-
They're
Totally.
broken in the same ways that they were. Like the games themselves play fine, but they have had all these issues with like saves corrupting and like some of the mobile versions of those games, like shit just does not work
stuff
right.
that like as they grow in size and scope, you would think that they would have buttoned up by now, but instead they put all those people onto the Marvel game instead of the fucking
and the
core tech.
Minecraft game and the
Yeah.
fucking everything else.
so-
yeah.
Right, they're doing a Minecraft
so
game.
that's what I mean. I don't even mean the quality of the game. I just mean like, wow, what a mill. Like at some point they are gonna have answered every fucking choice a human could make, and have a database that is just like, well, we've kind of run a simulation of every human possible thing
You're
that
saying
could
this
be
is
like,
tied in. You're saying the NSA is looking at this.
I'm saying they're gonna predict the
Are you saying
future.
that Telltale is working with the NSA
Yes.
and AT&T
Yes.
to collect our data?
yes. And they're right now there's a Jeff Gerstmann game that they're just fucking running through the numbers to be
Saying-
like, we know what you're gonna do next.
You're saying the Hillary Clinton 2016 campaign Telltale tie-in
Yeah.
game is in production?
I'm saying they know who wins the election.
They're not though, because I haven't played a lot of the Telltale games.
They just knew you said that.
Shit.
Because they were just running. That was like, there was a 30% of the people picked that option. It was a kind of an offshoot.
So you're
but like,
saying that just like you can sometimes pick no option and that's an option. Sometimes not loading the game is an option.
They
like
knew-
I'm
they
still
knew you wouldn't play
completing
it.
the story.
they have so much data from every choice
Shit,
humans have
man.
made that they are basically. It is like those things that were in the water in that fucking Tom Cruise
Fluoride.
movie. Fluoride. It's like
Yeah.
fluoride in Jersey.
Yeah.
It's weird. It shouldn't be there.
Well, it's
Fucking prison,
Minority
man.
Report.
Fucking prison.
It's going to be even
Freedom.
worse when the singularity develops from that database because, like, all the human choices that are being made there, eventually that's going to morph into, like, artificial consciousness.
Yes,
and it's
and
only
like-
going to operate based on the decisions, weighted percentage-wise. So if there's, like, a 50-50 split, that whole thing's just going to fucking break and murder everyone.
It's going to turn on itself.
We need at least 51% on every choice, otherwise we're fucked.
There are so many Telltale
There really
things
are
going on right
There
now.
really
Yeah.
are.
They are over 300 people now, apparently.
Yeah, they have been.
Did Bone ever come out? Was that ever?
Oh, dude, Bone was the first thing they did.
Okay, so but they
Like
never
they-
revisited it, right?
Not that I
Not
know
since
of.
then.
I
no.
thought there was a revisit.
It was what was
they
it? It was
moved
Bone
after-
and then Sam and Max and then
I think that's when, like,
There was
Back
the
to the
Strong
Future...
Bad game.
Strong Bad.
There's Back to the Future.
Back to the Future.
Jurassic
That's when they started. That was still the like use item on
yes.
item.
But then
Yes.
so Jurassic Park tried to do a lot more action oriented stuff and that was kind of a dismal failure, but then Walking Dead was the big breakout for them.
Yeah.
Like that set the tone
It was
for
the right
every-
license. It
Yeah,
was,
yeah.
like they finally had honed their craft on their end.
But also
so-
the way they told the story and
Yeah.
presented,
The writing in
presented
that
choice
game.
and branching and stuff. And the writing, like it was kind of a perfect storm. And then
So then there's a Game of Thrones stuff. There's a Marvel stuff. There's a Minecraft. These are announced.
There's the
Marvel-
Borderlands stuff.
Borderlands.
Tales of
Which is
the
ongoing.
Borderlands.
Game of Thrones, which is ongoing.
Thrones.
Wolf Among Us, which
Wolf
will
Among
probably
Us.
get a second season at
And
some
there's
point.
definitely no new Bone thing, right? That,
Not
I'm just making
currently,
that
no.
up? Okay. Yeah. So I don't know.
I will say, like, people still recognize when they're doing really good stuff, though. Like, I will never play the Borderlands games because I don't care about that setting. But people say that series in particular has been handled like
And again,
like, surprisingly well.
I'm not coming out and saying the technical stuff is like a Burger King cup.
No.
I'm saying just like, wow, that's like a lot of
At some point it
properties,
becomes
a
a
lot
factory,
of
a
IP, a lot
factory, I
of IPs
mean.
coming through, and like
Well, and on top of that, they're doing that super show thing with like some unnamed creative partner right now, which is
Right.
that whole like TV show / game tie-in that's like an original property. So that's a whole other thing that they're doing in addition to the license stuff.
I remember last time I talked to someone over there, he was like, "Yeah, we got 4 games going. It's
a lot
it's
of
crazy."
games.
They had to move out of the place above
Snyder?
above Snyder into a different office, and I think they might be moving out of that one. I don't know.
Really?
I don't know.
yeah, that's. I
But
don't
like
know.
they got so big so fucking fast.
That's kind of what happened with Harmonix. It was that thing where they grew, like they had to create that DLC machine going on a constant basis. Yeah. Like they weren't necessarily making a ton of games, but they had so many people overseeing so many different things that eventually they just ballooned to a crazy size.
And then like now, like the Rock Band 4 plan is they're just going to be more efficient, right? If they just they've honed that shit to.
I think there's maybe 100 people working there.
They've got that
now.
in Dance Central, which I don't know how much more DLC that thing.
And that's the thing is, there's like most of that Dance Central team is gone now.
Huh.
Like that was the last round of layoffs was a big chunk of that creative team.
The one that did the Xbox One version, or
no, I think that like those were the people who remained.
Okay.
But yeah, like I
remember like that was the whole thing about Spotlight. That's what it was called, right?
Yeah.
Where they were kind of saying like, hey, we have honed the DLC process to where we can get these dance moves in the game a lot faster.
Yep.
We want to sell DLC based on songs while they're still hot, instead of afterwards. So I wonder.
And I only bring them up because it's like every time I see like a ostensibly independent studio go from kind of smallish but growing to just giant, I'm very sensitive to that because I know how that sometimes goes. And usually it involves crashing, fire, explosions, everything.
I really hope that doesn't happen, and I think it's fantastic that they can kind of do that for properties, right? You got a new thing coming out, we can get you a solid game.
Totally. Like it's one of those things where it's like that stuff can end up, in a lot of cases, being truer to the properties than a lot of other games would be.
Right.
And they're not...
And, it's story-focused, which is like an appropriate way to attack something like Game of Thrones, or like these other very story-focused stories.
Something that is literally just a story.
Yeah,
and
totally.
you're not trying to cram in these like crazy mechanics.
You're not like, well, I don't know, we made a third-person shooter based on
Game of Thrones,
Minecraft. Just like everyone else on Steam is.
So yeah, I think that stuff is interesting. It's just becoming so prolific. Like you're just seeing like these announcements coming out. Like you can't be announcing anything else. Like what are you doing? Somebody told you
the money is probably such that they can go like, well, we need to bring another team on to build this, and
so I'm going back.
As long as there are a lot of project managers and a lot of like very fucking tight management of everyone's fucking time at Telltale, like that seems doable.
I wonder if writing for that stuff is actually awesome. You're just like, man, last week I was writing Game of Thrones shit. Today I'm writing Marvel stuff.
I bet it's different. I bet it's because when they had those 4 projects, it was like 4 fairly separate teams.
Like
I'm sure there's some shared assets and some shared people and all.
I wonder if the churn is still fun. You'd think the writing would get that.
I get the impression it's pretty breakneck.
Yeah.
Like I think you were hustling to get all those episodes out.
Oh, I can't wait though for a Game of Thrones to be like, I don't know, Jon Snow, what do you think? I don't want to do it. I don't know, Iron Man, what do you think? What? Sorry, that's I mean Game of Thrones guy. It's like somebody fucks out, like use your power beam. What? I'm sorry. And it got VO'd and snuck in, and
Telltale All Stars crossover game.
That stuff I think they are still doing at the bare minimum. Service those properties.
Yeah.
Technical stuff aside, but technically, I don't know if I've ever played a Telltale game that was like, yeah, this is airtight.
Yeah, they have had some issues.
I never had any issues when I was playing most of the Walking Dead or Wolf Among Us stuff, but I remember reading just extensive documentation of the various ways in which those games would fuck up on people, and they were pretty spectacular.
I mean, that's true. It's something. It's this thing where you have to pass a save between what are essentially like 5 different games. It's like. Again, you'd think that would be something that they would have solved first,
or by now.
Yeah. But the number of it's one of those things like that stuff comes out on like 6 different platforms. So it seemed like it was always like, I don't know, the 360 version's on fucking fire. If you feed it your save, the whole system just fucking turns off and says fuck off. I don't know. That stuff's.
So Adventure Games.
I'm sure it's in a better state than it was then. It would almost have to be.
Adventure Games, they're probably not back.
No, they're probably not back.
Telltale might be hugely prolific. I don't think you have to worry about Double Fine launching into another adventure game.
You don't think so?
No.
You think they would do another Kickstarter?
I don't know. We should ask them. I have no idea.
Well, for an adventure game, I mean specifically.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It depends on